Good afternoon and welcome to a slightly delayed Hibs Observer Friday briefing. Apologies, folks, if you've been waiting patiently in the wings to join us with a wee last-minute issue this afternoon. But here we are, up and running ahead of Hibs versus Falkirk at the weekend. And if you're looking at your screen at the moment and you're thinking to yourself, that is not Matty Fairnie, then do not adjust your set. You haven't lost the plot. Matty, unfortunately, couldn't join us this morning, but being the consummate professional that he is, we've been joined by Colin Wilkinson instead, also from the Long Bangers podcast. Colin, first of all, thank you very much for stepping in at the last minute. How are you getting on?
I'm all right, thanks. Aye, so we were the last minute issue, but you got an upgrade out of it, so you've scored.
No problem at all. Just before we get going, folks, as always, a wee word for our sponsor. The Hibs Observer is brought to you by S1 Jobs. It's time to hand in your transfer request, and then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs, so start your search today. But Colin, just seems kind of topical that you've joined us as a last-minute super sub. Do you have an all-time favourite Hibs super sub, somebody that you could always rely on to come off the bench and make a difference?
I need time to think about these things. I'll forget someday. Dean Shields was always quite handy coming off the bench. Stephen Fletcher used to score a few when he came off the bench as well, because he went through a spell of not getting a start. I'm probably missing somebody really obvious. But
no, not at all. I'm sure somebody will drop it into the comments if there's one that you're missing. But we're going to have a look, obviously, at Saturday's game at home to Falkirk. But Colin, since it's the first time you've joined us on the Hibs Observer, I mean, just to get your thoughts first of all on the season so far, how have you? Obviously, it's been a bit up and down in terms of results, two defeats in a row at the moment. What are your kind of thoughts on where Hibs have found themselves over the last couple of months?
It's a funny one. I think we've been up and down, like you say, right? So we've had it felt like we had a load of draws at the start and we didn't lose many games. So depending on if you were half empty, half full glass, you were saying we've only lost one game, 2 games, or we're not winning enough. And I was probably in the half full, but recently, certainly that Motherwell game, what was that, last midweek? That kind of scunnered me a bit, because of just how poor we were. And I thought, but then I was a bit wary falling into that. I have a moan a lot on our podcast about how polar we are as a fan base. We're either brilliant or really bad. We're never just going middle roads, which we probably are. We're sitting, I don't know, where are we, 5th in the league now? I can't even remember who we are.
Yeah.
But, so we want to be higher than that, obviously. But we're not far away from it. But when we're bad, we're bad. You know what I mean? That's what annoys me. It's like we don't just sort of underperform. We like totally blow it, like miles off it. And if two players have a bad game, you'd hope the other ones bail them out. But actually, what seems to happen is we all fall. We've got 8, 9, 10 players having a bad game, and you can't get results when the majority of your team are only playing well. I'm just hoping we get a wee run. We need a wee run.
I think that's it. It's just something that's not really materialised at any point so far this season. Obviously, I mean, I don't, as nice as it would be for folk, but I mean, I don't think anybody's asking for another or necessarily expecting another 17-game unbeaten run in the league, but just to string a few results together consistently, because I think we've spoke about it so many times on here, and I'm sure you guys have as well, but just the difference that can make in this league when everything is so tight. And I think before the Motherwell and Celtic games, it was 4 wins from 6. So you're starting to think, was that a wee bit of momentum building? Really about almost the exact same time as it started building last season. And then obviously this getting into December when there's so many games, it is really the ideal time to be sort of building that momentum. But then, as you say, those 2 games, the Motherwell one in particular, Celtic, it is what it is. But the Motherwell one, I think, is certainly put a dampener on. But it's kind of, as you say there, isn't it? It's felt as though it's maybe been 2 steps forward, 1 step back a wee bit over the last few weeks.
Aye, it has been. I mean, we do a sort of every now and again. We do a next 6 games or look ahead, or depending on what the next break is. And we obviously always over optimistic on it generally, but I think this time we didn't predict going to Motherwell and getting. I know it was only 2-0, but it felt like an absolute doing. And that's kind of scunnered me, like it really did. Just looking at it, looks like we've got a lack of options. You know, like we've spoken about having a good squad, but then you look at it and you go, well, kind of can't really change for 3 at the back. You know what I mean? We've hardly got any options. We've built a squad for that formation, and it's given us limited options to change things. When you're like, we'll do a preview later and we'll pick a team, and you'll be like, you just have to pick a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-5-2 because that's what we've got.
Well, that's been a sort of point of discussion on. It was on our Monday show with Craig Nisbet, and then Craig did an article for us during the week, sort of looking, because obviously at the second half of the Celtic game, David Gray, he did change to 4 at the back, but it did kind of feel that it was sort of necessitated by obviously Nicky Cadden getting injured, and I think, you know, kind of bringing Joe Newell back into the fray does kind of change things a wee bit. I'll maybe get onto that in a wee bit, but are you kind of the, because obviously the debate on here kind of this week is should Hibs, you know, make a, if not, you know, be starting with that formation? Is it, you know, would you want to see David Gray adapting more in game and changing? But are you kind of in the camp that you don't think that this squad is really built to play that 4 at the back now?
I just think I think we struggle with it. I think the players at the back, you know, I think Rocky and Hanley are suited to playing in the middle of a 3 rather than who plays in the left, a back 4 in the centre. You know, that was a problem we had, I don't know, 2 seasons ago. You know, it was like, we need a left-sided centre-back, how we solved it was by going 3 at the back and bringing a left-back, I guess, Iredale into that role. I don't know if he could play in a 2 in the left. I don't know. I'm not a massive tactics formation guy. I just look at it and go, I can't see how we've got a fairly big squad, but how they're quite samey. And I don't know. Even the subs. I had a wee sort of thing on one of your Monday episode that our subs are like for like. You know, we don't change anything. We go. We change a player, but we don't change anything. We just go fresh legs at 60 minutes, 70 minutes, which is generally when the subs come on. And it's just a striker for a striker, centre mid for a centre mid. You know what I mean? We left back for a left wing back for a left wing back. We don't change anything other than personnel. And I'd like to see a bit more, I guess, working out the opposition or trying something different that might work.
Yeah, I think at least maybe the sort of seeing that change of formation in the last game suggests that maybe David Gray is looking to adapt a bit more in game. But I think just to kind of linger on that for a while, I mean, yes, I mean, some folk might disagree. We actually ran a poll on our WhatsApp channel earlier in the week as to what formation you'd like to see Hibs adopt moving forward, and it was a landslide victory for going back to the 4 at the back.
Is it?
But I mean, it's. I don't think, as you say, it would come without its issues. I think maybe at the back would maybe, you know, you're asking guys to go back into a back 4, especially guys who have looked so much better in the back 3. I think it certainly suited Rocky better. I think it will suit Grant Hanley better. You know, Warren Ahora in there as well. Probably maybe the one of the you think maybe would kind of be maybe more comfortable but going back into that. Jack Iredale, where does it leave him? I think maybe you're kind of, especially when I think if you're talking 4 at the back, I think when Rocky goes away to the AFCON, I think I don't know about it then, because then you're taking your sort of, you know, he's the pace in the back line, Rocky, isn't he? He's the guy who's got he's got that recovery speed. Obviously Grant Hanley, you know, he's 33 now. He's not got that pace that he might have once had when he was a bit younger. His game's all about, you know, kind of reading it, anticipating, experience, knowing where to be. I don't think Warren Ahora's necessarily slow, but he's certainly not as quick as Rocky. So I think that might be one of the main issues. I suppose the boys going away to the AFCON is a completely different conversation once that's confirmed. But so, I mean, going into the weekend, I think we'll get to the question and the headline. Do you think this game now, Falkirk coming to Easter Road, they've done well this season, but they are a sort of newly promoted team. Do you think this is a sort of must-win game? We need to get 3 points on the board here.
I think
not complete crisis mode, if not, but you can't really I don't think anything else would really be accepted with it.
No, I agree. It's a funny one because like must win, that's a thing that's thrown around, isn't it? Like regularly. First game of the season, sometimes like this is a must-win game, and you go, is it? Like if we don't win this, we're not going to do anything. But I think where we are after that Motherwell game, 2 losses in a row, like you say, the Motherwell game as well. I think we should. So to finish third in the league, or minimum third, you need to be beating the teams that are bottom. What you see is the bottom half at least, right? Home and away. A newly promoted team, they've started well, but we should be looking to beat them, right? And that's not trying to be negative against Falkirk, because I know they played decent football and they're picking up results, but we should be looking, not even considering losing that game.
Yeah. Aye, I think so. It's one you really need to be picking up these points at home to get back on track.
Yeah.
A comment here from Far Beyond the Stars. I don't want to stop using the term must win for the sake of our mental health. Well, that's probably on me then for putting it in the headline.
It's not you. It's constant. It's a constant. You read the message boards, you see the messages we get in. It's constant. It's every game.
Aye, well, we've got an alternate view here. Answer to your question from Stephen is a big yes. Feels it's a must-win game. Jay and Sandy said, why do we keep forgetting Motherwell were excellent? They are opposition for that third spot, in my opinion. Well, they were excellent. They were good on the night.
But look at the results since that game. Liam, like the 2-0 after that. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe we got them on a good night for them. But
I think they are a good side. But I think overall, I think Hibs have got a better squad. I think. I don't think there's maybe not. You could probably argue there's Hibs have the best squad in the division outside of Celtic and can you even say Rangers these days with the mess that they're in? But again, that's a completely different conversation. After a couple of super subs thrown at us here, I don't know if you think any of these. We've got Ivan Sproul firstly. Ivan Sproul surely says Mark.
Well, they got the hat trick at Ibrox, didn't they? Yeah.
And this is, I suppose, this is the most obvious one of recent times. Dwight Gale. He was the super sub of last season. I think, and he's one of those players I think you could really get off on a wee bit of a tangent here, but I think in terms of an alternative striking option, he's somebody that you could still do with really in and about that squad. So again, just for Saturday, I mean, there's been a few kind of different combinations used. I think particularly in the middle of the park, that's become a bit of a point of debate at the moment. I think there was certainly a discussion after the Motherwell game about how, if you can stop Dan Barlaser playing, then you stop Hibs playing to a certain extent. I think there's probably merit in that to a certain extent. And then David Gray changed it up. He's brought in Miguel Chaiwa for the game against Celtic with Josh Mulligan still in there. Jamie McGrath. Joe Newell is coming back. He back on the pitch last weekend for the first time since I think it was December 29th. It was something like 336 days. So I mean, there are options re-emerging in that midfield area, and I suppose if you're maybe looking at selection for this weekend, it's one of those areas that's probably a wee bit more difficult to predict because there are different options coming back in there. As I said, I mean, again, we've had this debate on here before, but have you got a sort of preferred combination in the middle of the park? Would you prefer Dan Barlaser at the base for these home games, somebody to try and dictate it, or you've got Miguel Chaiwa that brings a bit more energy? You can be maybe a wee bit more aggressive going after the opposition. I mean, where do you stand on that one?
So I think Mulligan and McGrath, they've sort of picked themselves. They've been decent signings. I think I'd still like to see more from them. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're in, so you're really playing for the other position. And Barlaser has been good in these type of games, where it's where he's got time and space. What annoys me is like the games when he's not got time and space. We've not got anybody else helping, like appearing to help him out. That's where I don't see Mulligan maybe dropping in, get the ball, or even McGrath, but it doesn't happen. It's just like they leave him to be marked, and then we've got no options. So I'd like to see a bit different there. I don't know. I like Chaiwa, but I've not seen an awful lot of him. So when you say preferred combinations and stuff, I've not really seen a lot of Mulligan and Chaiwa together, have we? We've got them on Sunday, obviously.
Aye.
So I'd maybe like a turn at that.
Yeah, I think it worked well to an extent. I mean, it was a decent performance from Hibs last week against Celtic, and I think if you're looking at what is maybe best suited and trying to second guess what David Gray might go with, I think Barlaser's the games that he has perhaps not been as good in are against teams that want to be aggressive. I think he looked particularly good against Dundee, and he was, don't get me wrong, but they just sort of threw and let him play. Whereas I think Falkirk, they're quite a front foot aggressive side. They don't really change even when they go away from home, Falkirk.
And surely, Liam, sorry, but in there, anybody watched that Motherwell game, and then even the back catalogue of Hearts and Celtic Rangers games that he's maybe played in, are not going to give him that time and space. It was just a Presley masterclass, leaving him like all the time in the world. And any player should be able to pick those passes he was picking with that time and space. And obviously he's got the quality to do it. But like the Dundee, that's twice we've played them, and twice they've just went, we're not engaging.
Yeah.
So it was good that day. But it should be with the time and space he had. I don't know. I actually think, I was speaking to a guy that works in football during the week, and he says I think Hibs, he's not a Hibs fan, that Hibs are missing a technical midfielder in there. Somebody that's got, like Mulligan's a bit of a workhorse. He'll get up and down, he'll drive, he'll run with the ball, but he's not technically brilliant on the ball. And we may need a midfielder in there that maybe Levitt was doing the roll-off last season. But he's well out of the picture, isn't he? So, and he's in his contract.
Yeah, exactly. He is an interest because I think he was very good across the back half of last season, Levitt. And there seemed to be a really nice balance with him and Triantis. I think Triantis, maybe he offered the sort of physicality that Levitt didn't. I think that's never going to be Dylan Levitt's game. He's never going to be like a kind of aggressive ball winner, snapping into tackles. But where I think he did improve over the latter half of last season was maybe more of his understanding of that number 6 role. I felt like he started picking up better positions. He started reading the game. He's picking up loose balls, interceptions. Because I think you don't have to be to play that defensive midfield role. You don't have to necessarily be, like a bruiser, somebody who's going to go around and snap at ankles. You can do it, if you're a kind of intelligent footballer, which Levitt is. But it has been strange how he's just kind of falling out the picture. Obviously, he was unwell. He got his, I think he had to get surgery to get his appendix out, so that's obviously set him back a bit. But I think even before then, it's as soon as Barlaser was up to speed, Levitt seemed to drop out of the picture, and maybe the fact that does it suggest that that Hibs went after a player in the Barlaser mould who is similar to Levitt, that long term David Gray was thinking, I don't know if Levitt's the answer in there. Does that suggest that to you? And now you're kind of starting to see him being phased out a bit almost.
I think so. I mean, Barlaser's only here for the season as well. They're both basically technically here for a season, I guess, aren't they? But yeah, because even I mean, last season he would sub him regularly as well. So it was like, we'll need you for an hour, but you're coming off after the hour, and we'll get somebody else on you. He's never fully sort of bought into him. I don't know. And I'm not saying he's the answer, by the way. I'm just saying, like, what happened, and we've not got a player that's doing that role. When I'm sure teams last year says, well, we can shut Levitt down, but it didn't seem to be as effective as when teams have tried to shut Barlaser down. So maybe he's better at finding space in pockets. I don't know.
And I think, but even then, you're saying it comes back to what you were saying earlier on. I think where if it's not happening for Barlaser, you need somebody else to be doing that. You had Triantis doing that last season. I think he was, as much as I like Mulligan, he is not, I don't think, a sort of drop in and get the ball deep. I don't think that's where you really want him. I think you want him, he's almost, if you're playing through midfield, Mulligan, and I think this was particularly good in the game up at Aberdeen, Mulligan is the guy you want to look for with the second pass. So if it's going into, say, Barlaser, you want the likes of Mulligan running off him. Somebody that you can feed the ball into, you can carry it up the pitch. So I don't really think that's Josh Mulligan's game as such. But as I said, last season, if it wasn't happening for Levitt, you had Triantis who could come in and drop and take that. So it's maybe just it's a solution to work out. I think you'll maybe get a better idea if Barlaser is to play this weekend as to how Hibs plan to combat that. Because I think as poor as it was in the first 20 or so minutes of that game, it becomes against Motherwell, like almost hard to analyse once Hibs go down to 10 men, because the dynamic of the game completely changed at that point. So I think it has been a wee bit of an issue, but I think you got to give a wee bit of time to see how Hibs maybe try and find their way around that. Just before we finish up here, because folks, the Hibs press conference is coming up today at 1 p.m. as per usual. Actually, I meant to answer one of your questions before I went on in it. just find it. It says, hi Liam, do you know if Nicky is available tomorrow? I'm assuming it's got to be Nicky Caddy. We don't know yet, but we will find out at back at 1 o'clock. David Gray will speak to the media, and he generally gives an update on who's fit and who isn't for that one. So if you stay tuned, we'll have coverage of that on Hibs Observer.
Be surprised though, coming off a hamstring, you'd be a few weeks anyway.
Very rarely is that one that you can just shrug off in a couple of days, and I think even if it's minor, it's one of those injuries that, medical departments, and it's one you don't take a chance with generally, isn't it? Hamstring.
And it's recurring as well, isn't it? So that'll probably add a bit extra caution around it. I can't see him, but I reckon he might even be out till New Year.
Yeah,
it's only 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's
it is generally one that, even if it's not a major hamstring injury, you do still have to be careful with it. So, to end on a more positive note, and we included that in the headline today, Hibs lodging planning permission for upgrades to the training base in Ormiston. Basically, the idea is they just want to expand because they have the senior teams, that's the men and women's, based out of their full-time academy teams using the facility. So I think it's just basically, it's got to the point where Hibs need to expand what they have. It's the kind of proposal's been kind of in the pipeline for some time, and earlier last year there was a land swap that was completed, and that really helped the club to try and move forward. And so, that's kind of, a good sign of ambition. There's going to be a planned indoor facility, synthetic surface, because I think anybody who's been out to the facility at HTC knows that it has its own wee microclimate. It can be pretty brutal there during the winter. So that's a positive development, isn't it? Club investing some money to try and expand the facilities, keep trying to move forward in that regard.
Yeah, I saw it last night actually, the article with the drawings and stuff. It seems almost doubling the size. Like, if you, I don't know the exact sort of measurements, but it looks, the amount of pitches, an indoor one will be good as well. Hopefully be heating, not like the Orion when it's open and you're still outside even though you've got a roof over you. But it's all promising. Yeah, has it got a stand in the indoor one as well, Liam? Is that right?
I think you might be right. Yeah. Because
for matches, for women's games and stuff. So I would save using Meadowbank in that maybe. Because I was at Barryfield a few weeks ago, the Celtic one, and they've got the indoor, which they threw up over about a year, but it's not got a stand or changing rooms or anything. It's just it's good, like, it's an indoor pitch with lights that it's got a roof on it, but it's not got any internals like that, so they couldn't use it for sort of decent sized games like Academy 19s games or women's games or whatever it would be used for. But no, it's good, promising.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've not seen any on that yet, folks, if you go onto our website, hibsobserver.co.uk, you'll be able to read about the plans. Patrick did a pretty in-depth article on it yesterday about what it all means, what's going to be included, and we'll obviously bring you as much coverage of that as it moves forward. But for now, I think we are going to park it there. As I said, the press conference is coming up at 1 p.m. Patrick is out at HTC. For us, he's going to be speaking to David Gray and a member of the first team squad. So if you are hanging on for injury updates, do keep an eye on the website and our social channels. We'll have everything from that on there. But for now, we're going to leave it there. But obviously, before we go, I want to say a big thank you to our super sub, Colin, for jumping in here at the last minute. As I said, Matty couldn't make it today, and Colin very, very kindly stepped up. So, Colin, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody else for joining us as well. As I said, as usual, we'll be at the game tomorrow, so keep an eye out for our coverage there. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll speak to you again very soon. Cheers.